Well guys, today we're talking about good old Uber Booba stock, okay? Uber Technologies, ticker symbol Uber on this one, okay? $37.01 stock, made about a 2% upward move here today, okay? Why we're talking about this one in this video is we're gonna talk about this analyst, okay? Why one Wall Street firm thinks Uber is poised to surge 54% over the course of the next year. That is a big move in a 12-month span, needless to say, okay? 54% move. So we're gonna talk about this one. I'm gonna kind of give you my opinion. You guys know I love to hear other people's opinions, but in terms of do I make judgments based upon that, I never do, and you guys should never do it as well. It's fine to hear opinions, listen to them, and kind of, discern for yourself if that's accurate information or if you think that makes sense or you don't, okay? Now, for those of you guys who have not been following this one, I mean, this was a rough IPO. This company went IPO probably 6 months ago, roughly, maybe a little longer than 6 months ago, and the valuation had come down on Uber dramatically before the IPO even happened, okay? They were talking about $100 to $120 billion valuation when this company was gonna go public, and no, it wasn't that. It ended up coming out at like 80 billion, maybe a little under 80 billion. Stock price was like 45, and it pretty much just went down in a straight line, okay? It pretty much went down in a straight line. It bottomed out in November, right pretty much at its lockup expiration when a lot of the insiders could sell. We know Travis Kalanick, the former CEO of the company, one of the founders of the company, he sold out of shares. There was a ton of selling pressure on this one, and there was very little excitement coming from the buyer side with this IPO. And keep in mind, this isn't the only big tech company. This exact same situation happened with Facebook. When Facebook went public, Facebook, the valuation came down a little bit when it went into that IPO. It IPOs at $38 or so. Next thing you know, the stock's trading as an $18, $19 stock. It had fallen like 50% from its IPO price. So now keep in mind, the stock's pretty much been up in a straight line since that November time frame. It's almost forming a perfect V when you kind of look at it on a stock chart. It goes down a straight line, now it's pretty much up in a straight line, and a V is starting to form there. As you guys know, I bought this stock very, very heavily, okay? So this stock matters to me, and anytime an analyst comes out, whether they say a lot of negative things or a lot of positive things about my stock, I'm probably gonna wanna hear what they have to say because I have a big position in this stock in the public account. I own 1,535 shares. We're up about 29%, so the Uber position is off to a good start here. Keep in mind, I'm no short-term trader. This isn't like this is some like 3-month trade for me or 6-month trade. Uber should be in my portfolio for years to come in the future, but it's off to a good start. We're up 12,800 there in the public account, and then I own another 1,480 shares in one of my private accounts, and that one we're up about 27% or so. That one we're up about just under $12,000 there. So Uber's off to a good start, and as you guys know, this is a stock I'm very, very bullish on. I've built this into a good position. I feel very comfortable with this one. I think the company has a lot of growth in future years. And if you follow this channel very closely, you know a lot of my opinion on this one, okay? Now, you guys know I love to kind of relate some stories to real life and what's going on around me. And my wife just went to a concert actually at the T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas last weekend actually, and she told me the line for the Uber was ridiculous. It was like hundreds of people after that concert got out were waiting for their Ubers. It was pretty much like, you ever seen an iPhone line? This is one of those deals. And she told me there was just taxis just waiting and waiting, and a ton of these guys were like, hey, you guys need a taxi ride? And everybody was like, no, we're good. Like we're waiting for our Uber, and this is Las Vegas Strip, obviously. And here you have all these taxis waiting to give rides, and everybody would much rather wait 5, 10, 20 minutes for an Uber rather than take that taxi. Why is that? Well, the Uber's about half the price that same taxi ride would be. And so I could definitely understand people not wanting to get in those taxis because you're going to probably pay 2, if not 3 times more than what that same ride would cost in an Uber car. And that's the way it works. And this is one of the main reasons why Uber is so big. And this is one of the main reasons why Uber is going to get a lot more profitable in the future, because taxis are so insanely expensive compared to an Uber ride. And also, people like the experience of an Uber. Just being able to go on their app, be able to see driver ratings and things like that. Like, people just like the experience overall, okay? So let's start getting into this analyst call here around Uber stock and kind of figure out if it's a bunch of Uber bull or if it makes a little sense here, okay? Uber gained another bullish Wall Street analyst this week despite trading down about 19% from its May initial public offering. On Tuesday, UBS initiated coverage of Uber with a price target of $56, roughly 54% higher than where the shares traded on Monday's close. Shares of the company gained as much as 2.5% on Tuesday. Obviously, we looked at how much the stock was up today. I think it was up up a little less than 2% here today, okay? So quote here, across its portfolio of businesses and assets, we see opportunities for market repair, long-tailed TAM. By the way, TAM, if you do not know that, that means total addressable market, okay? Whenever you hear TAM, total addressable market. Long-tailed TAM and paths to unlock asset value. A team of UBS analysts led by Eric Schneider wrote in a note to clients on Tuesday, Uber's collection of global businesses look, quote, poised to scale into the next large cap, multi-sided marketplace, okay? Keep in mind, they just called it a marketplace with improving economics and flywheel effects on both supply and demand side, okay? Very, very interesting commentary there, and definitely a different way of putting it than I've even thought about the business, or at least the way I've kind of described the business in the past, okay? When they're starting to, use words like marketplace, flywheel effects on both the supply and demand side, I will say this is a very intriguing analyst note. A lot of these analyst notes are very boring, very plain and dry, and just information that has kind of been regurgitated out there from kind of other analysts and things like that. But this is a very, very intriguing one when you kind of put it that way, okay? According to the note, UBS also sees that management is committed to unlocking asset value and compelling risk versus reward. And you see Uber making many moves like this where they'll actually move out of the market and get ownership in another company. That way they get out of a situation where they're both trying to cut each other, and they're basically in a situation where they're both losing money, and it's a lose-lose for both companies. Uber says, you know what, we'll go ahead, we'll get out of that market, we'll become part owner of your business over here, and then you'll be able to raise prices quite a bit. You'll get to a place where you're actually profitable, you start making good money, valuations will go up, our ownership stake will increase in value. Everybody wins in that situation. And that's what we're seeing from Uber and Dara over there. Phenomenal CEO. You guys know, if you watch any of my Uber videos in the past, he's a phenomenal CEO. And so they're definitely, bringing that out here when they're talking about this analyst note here, okay? The positive coverage of Uber's battered stock focuses on three pivotal questions about Uber's growth in ride sharing. Uber Eats and its path to profitability, UBS wrote. The first is Uber's main ride sharing business. They say, quote, we expect ride-sharing bookings to grow at 15%, 19 estimates through 24 estimates, compound annual growth rate with adjusted net revenues growing at 17%, compound annual growth rate during the same period according to the note. So essentially the UBS analysts here are expecting Uber to be able to grow at a strong double-digit rate. And you think about how do they get that? Well, it's not just about, bringing more riders on. It's also about hopefully those riders taking more trips, and hopefully, over time, the rides are a little more expensive. And so those rides where you might have used to lose a little bit of money will turn into actually rides where you're making money. And it's actually a profitable ride for Uber, because now it's not a market share battle with all the other guys. It's more about, is this ride a profitable ride or is it not a profitable ride? And if we're given that ride and it's not profitable, why the heck are we doing that, okay? It's not a market share battle anymore for a lot of these companies, okay? This is because UBS believes Uber is, quote, the clear #1 player in North America. And that's definitely true. Lyft is the other player in North America, and they're kind of like way behind Uber. So I definitely say, yeah, it's clear as day, Uber's the #1 player in North America, and a top player in markets where it operates outside of North America, according to the note. So it's not just that they believe that Uber's the #1 player in North America, but most of the other major markets out there, Uber's the #1 player. And absolutely, I definitely agree with that. Okay, second, UBS forecasts that Uber Eats can grow its gross bookings at a 33% compound annual rate between now and 2024. That is very fast growth, okay? That might even be more ambitious than I believe for the Uber Eats business, okay? So if they grew that, I would be very happy, because like I said, that's probably even more ambitious than I think, okay? 33% compound annual growth rate in gross bookings for Uber Eats. That would be phenomenal, okay? Uber has a large opportunity in food delivery that it can capitalize on its platform, Sheridan wrote in a note, especially as consumer trends shift away from cooking. So very, very interesting there, okay? And third, UBS thinks that Uber can expand its margins and turn a profit on EBITDA basis by 2021. Profitability has been top of mind issue for investors in Uber and its unicorn rival Lyft, which went public just a few months ago. As I told you guys, there's pressure on all these players around the world to get profitable. And I don't care if you're talking about on the eat side, there's going to be a lot of competitive pressure, starting later in the year. There's going to be a lot of investor pressure on all those food delivery players as the year transpires and goes to maybe get profitable or close to profitable. And then from the driver side, the ride sharing side, anybody that's a player in any of these markets, there's a ton of pressure to get profitable, quit fighting market share game and fight the profitability game. And so that's a huge shift in the market over the past few years, which it used to be, let's battle over market share and who cares if we make money. Now it's like, let's not battle over market share. Let's worry about let's all making money. And that's a big shift in what investors expect and what these companies can expect. So they kind of bring out a same point that, obviously I brought out in past videos, okay? UBS expects that Uber's adjusted EBITDA will hit $43 million in 2021, up from a loss of $2.8 billion in 2019. So that would definitely be, a substantial improvement there, needless to say, okay? According to the note. Further, UBS forecasts that Uber will achieve a roughly 14% adjusted EBITDA margin in its 2024 estimates. That would be very strong EBITDA there, okay? Uber has a consensus price target of $45.28 on it, which is obviously quite a bit up from where we're at now, which is like a $37 stock for Uber right now, okay? And 29 buy ratings, 12 hold ratings, and 0 sell ratings on Uber stock, according to Bloomberg data. The company is scheduled to report its fiscal fourth quarter 2019 results on February 6th, okay? Now, guys, in the comments section, let me know if you want me to do a Q4 2019 earnings preview on Uber stock. I'll be reading through the comments, and if I get a lot of comments saying you guys want that, I will do a video in the next, let's say, 48 hours that will be kind of an earnings preview. I did that with Tesla, so if you guys want that with Uber, I can absolutely do that. Let me know in the comments. So it's definitely an intriguing kind of look there from the analysts on kind of how they were talking about, Uber stock. A lot of it was a lot of the information I kind of talk about on my bullish theses around Uber stock, but some of it when they're talking about marketplaces, when they're talking about supply side, demand side, and those sorts of things, it's definitely kind of a different way of looking at the stock. But when you kind of look at its businesses, you kind of do start to think about it as maybe this is like a marketplace play rather than just a ride share play, because all the different businesses they have, the businesses they're acquiring, and the businesses they're starting to build, which are not known by the masses right now. If people know Uber, they usually know it through ride sharing and Uber Eats, but the company has a lot more going on other than just that. So I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on this one in the comment section. Smash that thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.